Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. I'm really excited about tonight's painting. I'm going to be painting a vintage style Christmas tree, but we're going to be using unusual tools for it. So it should be like really kid-friendly, family-friendly project for you to do over the holidays. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man in chat tonight, so if you've got questions while we're painting, you can ask those and we'll try to answer. Let's get started. Alrighty, sorry. I had my phone on. Could hear myself talking in the background. I was like, what is that noise? Ah, yes, that was me. All right, so I have a 9 by 12 inch canvas. This is just a Fredrix mixed media canvas board. Really any canvas will do for this. We're going to be using Q-tips, cotton swabs, I should say. They're really Q-tips in our US. That's kind of
the name brand.
Yeah, the name brand, yeah. So shout out to Q-tips. We're not sponsored, so yeah.
I mean, I use them for my ears every day.
I also found these like bigger style Q-tips at a hardware store, and so I bought a package. I also found them on Amazon, so there's a link down in the description to my Amazon shop. I think I put them in the art supplies section. The pencil, like a pencil eraser, that kind of thing, it'll work great. So what's going on? I can't see.
It's showing that. Oh, now it's working.
Okay.
We have good connection. For some reason, YouTube is doing that.
It's freezing and moving. Uh-oh. Okay.
We'll keep pressing through. I mean, you got a good connection. You got good bit rates.
All right. What was I saying? Okay.
Q-tips.
Yeah, I need to see what I'm doing though.
Oh.
I also will probably be using some little, what are these? Toothpicks, thank you. And possibly some straws, so that's another option. But I would say erasers work really well. I obviously don't have a normal eraser in my thing. I'm trying to find one, and I don't have a regular pencil. All my pencils are this kind. They don't have regular erasers on them, but erasers make great substitute large Q-tips. So if you don't have this pack, don't worry about it. Just use what you've got at home handy. And then you're also going to want something to splatter with, so either like an old toothbrush or a fan brush, something like that. And then there are some little, just some little details on our tree, like the star and things that would be helpful to have a small round brush. So if you've got one of those, grab it. And then also for the actual background of the tree, we're going to be kind of doing some stippling to kind of soften up around the background of it. So some sort of a stippling brush. This is a Deerfoot Stippler, but you can, most people have these kind of hardware store type brushes that will work as well. Just a smallish one will do. And then a just regular sponge. I've got a round one here that'll kind of help, but nothing fancy about it, just a little round sponge. All right, let's go ahead and get going with this. Now, the background of mine is painted with green gold, just a little daub, and I just spread it out with water so it's nice and thin, not very thick. It's way too bright though, so we're gonna tone it down and add our kind of dark areas around our tree. How's it going? Is it still having issues? Mm-hmm. Is it still having problems, or is it better?
No,
it's good? Yeah. Okay. All right, so you're just going to want to mark the top of your tree. I'm going to do the big star at the top, so I want to leave a little bit of room. So my tree's going to kind of start sort of right in the middle of my star there. And then I'm going to do kind of a semicircle right here, just a curved line at the bottom of my tree. And then however you want to do your branches, usually the branches like towards the top go upwards on a pine tree. And then as they get towards the middle, they sort of go straight. And then towards the bottom, they start to go out, down, get way down. So that's kind of going to be my general shape of my tree. And just that will help as we do this next part. We're going to kind of buff out around those edges and just kind of add in some dark areas behind our tree. And we could do our tree first if we wanted to and then buff out the background, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do the background first. And for that, I think I'm just going to squirt some paint straight onto the canvas. Now, I'm going to be using some fluid paints, but if you don't have these, like craft acrylics would work really well for this. So those cheaper kind of acrylics that you can get at the hardware stores or at the, Walmart or whatever. I'm going to just put some, this one is called Unbleached Titanium. Let me see if I have it open. Yeah, I do. Not want to come out. There we go. Ooh. So put out a little bit of that and put out a little bit of my green gold. This is kind of a little bit brighter version of the background that I've got already. And for the area around the tree, I'm going to kind of use some dark. So I'm just going to kind of put some dark sort of in the middle there. And we're going to push it out around our area. And then I want to kind of tone down my colors. So I'm going to use some yellow oxide, and that will give me kind of warmer and more toned down colors. And also burnt sienna. That's going to do the same. So burnt sienna. Just a few little dabs. I'm probably putting out way too much paint here, but we're going to use our sponge to kind of push it around a little bit. And then lastly, I'm going to use just a tiny bit of black, just right down the middle. All right. We'll see what this does, and if we make mud, then we'll go to plan B. But the key is going to be, one, to wear gloves if you've got them. What?
Me too. No, I was going to say that little puddle in the top left-hand corner looks like it's got like a dried gunk in it.
It does, yeah. Okay. I'm going to have to get that out. Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks. I'm going to spray this with water, so that'll help. That background color, you could use like a yellow. If you don't have this green gold color, that's fine. Use whatever colors you've got handy. This does not have to be super complicated. I don't want you guys to, think, oh, I don't have these colors, so I can't do this. Just use what colors you have. I'm going to be using, a variety of colors, but they're going to be like muted greens and black added to any kind of yellow or any kind of green will mute it and make it kind of more muddy, which is kind of what we're going for the background area, because our ornaments on the tree are going to be that bright, like bubblegum pink. And so that like muted, almost ugly green is going to, whoop, get my rings caught on my thing here, is going to be a good backdrop for these brighter colors. All right, so I've wet down my sponge, and then I've squeezing it out. What's the word there? I don't know. Squeezed it out. I'm squeezing it out until most of the, all of the moisture is out. So it's not going to drip on my canvas as I work. And so I'm going to start kind of in my lighter areas and work towards the dark, because those dark areas are going to take over as soon as we touch them. So I'm going to just kind of push that paint around, and I may want some more of that lighter color, that green. I'm going to grab some of that green gold, because I do want it to be a little bit more green. I think I might add some of the original green gold that I used. That Australian sienna is a little bit lighter, more yellowish green gold there that I had put down. So we'll push that around. All right, now I'm going to start with the dark. Ooh, see how dark that's going to go? Real fast. All right, so when I get to about right there, you're going to need to flip your sponge over so you have a clean spot, and then work from the light color back in and just blend over those edges. And every now and then we may just need a really thick paper towel to wipe off. Get off the extra paint, and then continue. And do this quickly though, don't take too much time with it, because it will dry fairly fast. It's doing really great for me though, just by wiping off. So that looks pretty close to what I want it to be. It doesn't look like much right now, but trust me, we'll get it there. I think I'm just gonna soften off any of these dark harsh edges, you can always lay down a little bit more paint on here. I'm going to try to kind of mute out all the way to the edge. Looks good. My dog wants back in the studio here. Okay. And if it looks kind of ugly, then you're probably on the right track, because it is kind of on its own, it's kind of muddy and ugly looking, but I think that that's going to work really well for us right there. Okay. Yeah, I think that'll work. All right, so believe it or not. So let's go ahead and splatter our background. And for that, I'm going to use some of my burnt umber and burnt sienna. I'm going to just put out a couple of those, maybe some Indian yellow. Haven't used that one yet. It's kind of a bright orangey yellow. Just pretty much the same colors that we used in our tree or in the background let me see. And maybe let's use some phthalo green and mix it with some of the Indian yellow hue. Come on, green, come on out. Why are my greens? Let's go. Let's go. You can do it. There we go. Twice thick. I'm going to mix that with green gold. Dog is making a bed in the background. You can hear him working on it. Yeah, digging his bed. Okay, so I'm going to start with the burnt sienna, and I'm going to go really heavy right near the bottom of the tree. And I'm just using a fan brush for this. You can use a toothbrush if you don't have a fancy fan brush. If you use a toothbrush, just make sure that you hold it in your fist and turn it so that the tip is facing down, so that when you pull back with your thumb, kind of hold it right up towards the top and pull back with your thumb. As you pull this way with your thumb, the paint's going to go that way. So you want to make sure that you're pointing it straight down at your canvas as you flick your thumb over it. And I'm just going to use my fan brush here because I can kind of just tap it. Okay.
What is the calculus equation for the splatter of paint parallel to the trajectory of the thumb?
I don't know.
Okay.
Were you not watching there?
Well, I was, but I just want to make sure we give all the information we can to everybody.
Okay. Smart Alex. All right, so I mixed kind of all three of those to make a kind of a brownish, warm brownish yellow. And I don't think you can really do too many splatters here. I'm just going to really splatter the heck out of this. And one thing, if you're getting really thick dots or they're not coming off your brush really easily, then add a little bit of water. That'll help it kind of come off a little easier. Of course, the ones that are like where our tree is in the middle are not going to show, but little bits of them are going to show around the sides. So I'm still going to do it in there, in that area. And then I'm not going to clean out my brush at all. In fact, I'm going to kind of pick up a little bit more of that and just grab some of that green. Those two greens there. I think I want it a little bit darker, so I'm going to grab some burnt umber. Yeah, maybe I'll just do it over here instead of mixing this up. Just add the green to the burnt umber that I had over here. Okay, so that looks good. And this is going to be close to the color that I use on my tree, so this will kind of help blur the edges of my tree too. Really good. And then once we finish, we're going to splatter some more with like snow with white. So, and I have covered everything that I don't want to get splattered with paper towels. So this gets everywhere. One thing I used to do when I was doing this with kids is I would put their canvas in a box and then let them do it, because then the box would kind of contain the splatter. So like a old cardboard box or whatever. If you're like us, we have about a bazillion in our garage right now.
No, we don't receive anything from online orders.
We get online orders daily. All right, I'm going to hand this off to Mark, and he's going to dry it for me. And while he does that, we'll kind of clean up our workspace here. Can you kind of just clean out that sponge too while you're at it? Thank you. All right, I shouldn't need these for now. Got a link down in the description. I met the artist that I buy these rings from, this local artist and from a local gift shop, and they were there at the art walk this past Friday. So Holly and Kelly, shout out to them. But they make these beautiful rings, and aren't they gorgeous? So I linked down their Instagram down in the description. I don't get a kickback or anything, but I just want to support them. They live here in the same town as me, and they're pretty darn talented, so fun. All right, so I want to do my background of my tree like kind of a sap green, I think, like a really, really dark. So I'm going to put out some sap green. These fluid paints like move a lot, so if you've got like an old egg carton, just make sure it's not like the ones I had. I was going to use them, but they have holes in the bottom, so just make sure it's like the old foam kind of egg carton that and you can put these in the cups of the egg cartons. I used to use them for my kids' classes too. They work really great to contain the paint mess. All right, keep it from spreading too far. I've already got the green there. I'm just going to put out my different colors here. So that was carbon black. I probably should have put it over here, but that's all right. Sap green, carbon black. Sap green is basically this phthalo green that I'm using plus black, but I'm just going to use that sap green because it's already pre-mixed. But again, don't have to have these exact colors. The green gold that I used is like a phthalo green with lots and lots of yellow. So like a cadmium yellow light base or a Indian yellow. I think the cadmium yellow light is the base though. Cadmium yellow light and just a tiny, tiny bit of green, and you'll get that kind of chartreuse color that was the background color. And I'm going to put out some, speaking of yellows, I'm going to put out some of that. Let me think here. I'm just kind of trying to go through my colors that I have out here and try to put them out in order. I've got kind of a blue aqua green color here. I'm going to put that out. Ooh, that's spreading. But these fluid paints really do help when you're using the Q-tips or you're doing dots. So I would say if you don't have the fancy, ones that I'm using, the golden or Matisse colors, at least just get yourself some craft acrylics, or you can use heavy body acrylics. You just maybe have to add a little bit of water to them to get them to create those dots a little bit easier with the Q-tips, but they'll work. It just takes a little bit more finessing of the paint. I'm going to go ahead and put out some phthalo blue too. That one was cerulean blue. I'm going to put out a little phthalo blue. I'm not going to need a lot of that because it's so pigmented. And then let's go ahead and put out, I'm really not doing these in order, am I? Let's put out some Quinacridone Magenta. So that's be one of our pink colors. And I'm going to put out a little bit over here and add some white to it because I'm going to need a lot of it. A lot of the...
One really big blot there. Looks like it might still be...
Okay. That's probably fine. Thank you. So add a lot of white to that one. That's the Quinacridone Magenta. And then I'm going to use Quinacridone Red too. And if you don't have the Quinacridone Red, whoops, I don't think I was supposed to shake that, but that looked, oh yeah, it definitely wasn't. Definitely needed to be shaked.
Shooken?
Yeah, shooken.
Sugarized.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
Okay. This one is cadmium yellow medium, cadmium yellow light. Come on.
Now, if you turn the painting to the landscape, This is like a really good beginning too for like tank camouflage.
True.
So you could
True.
just kind of sketch it in.
Yeah.
So
Mark was getting his hopes up, but
could go either way.
put out some of that. I can show you the difference there. This one is just a little bit more green or yellow, I mean. I'll put out a little bit of Pyrrole orange. I'm probably not going to use this color on its own at all, but I'm just going to have it out just in case I need a little bit of bump of orange. And I think that's all of my colors. Yeah, I think that's all of them. Black and then just plain old white. All right. Get some white. And I'll just put the white over here in the middle. Pretty good amount of it. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of draw in our tree again. Now that we've got this in, I'm going to kind of put my star at the top, kind of like that, and do a couple upward. I started to go down, but I need to go up. And it's good if you kind of leave some space, leave a little bit of gaps. They're gonna look a little bit more natural if it's not perfectly symmetrical. Probably could have gone a little bit darker at my base now that I'm looking at it. So when I add my other details, I might make that darker down there. Okay, that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and use this brush here or one of these kind of stippler brushes. In fact, I think I'm going to use this one, but you could use this one. If you use this one, just be careful to use just like the corner of it if you've got a really big, really large brush. But I'm just going to use this littler one. I'll have a little bit more control. This is the 5/8 inch Deerfoot stippler. And I'm going to use that sap green and my black. I'm going to go really dark in the middle of my tree here. And I'm just going to start in the middle. Just going to get an idea of the color. That looks really good. This really dark color is going to really show up nicely with our lighter colors on top. So don't be afraid of it being really dark. You want it nearly black. And I'm going to just pull down to get this kind of fuzziness around the bottom, and then kind of just following my guide here, just sort of fuzz out the sides as I go up and then sort of come upward with it. This brush does a lot of the work for me. I'm barely touching down. I don't have a ton of paint in my brush. You see, it's not really loaded up heavy with paint. That way I can get these kind of fuzzy, soft edges. So don't load it too thick with paint, whatever you're using. You'll get this kind of soft looking tree branches. And then you can just tap, tap, tap. Really just fill in this whole middle area with that dark color. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit more, I think. Why not? We've got a room down here. Okay, that looks good. Nice, I like it. And that really, now you can see why we did that dark around it, because now it's kind of feels like cozy and almost blended out along those edges for us already. We haven't had to do anything. I'm going to go kind of straight up at the top here. Just to kind of do the top of the tree. All right, does it look crooked? Looks a little crooked.
Looks great.
Looks okay.
I think maybe the
Bottom, oh, it
bottom
goes a
right,
little bit
maybe
farther.
a little bit lower, just around it,
Yeah,
symmetrically.
is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's all right.
So to
Doesn't have to be perfect. No tree is perfect anyway, so I'm going to call that good enough. What'd you say?
I'm going to say to our sticker winners,
Oh,
they
yeah.
almost got mailed out today. We were at the post office with them. We licked the envelopes, and then the stickiness on the back just wasn't.
That we were
We
afraid
weren't confident they would arrive to you with the
Yeah.
stickers in them.
Yeah.
So we brought them home to
And
tape
I
them
meant
up
to
and
write
mail 'em
nice
out.
like notes and everything, and I didn't. I never. So sorry.
So
I am saying right now, you guys are awesome. Thank you.
yes, you are.
All right. So using the little toothpick, and it helps if you have a cute holder. Use your toothpick here, or a small brush, and just kind of do some little dabs of branches out from your tree on either side. You know what a pine tree looks like, kind of a straight line and then sort of branches on either side coming out. So
So we're just setting the detail to the edges.
just on the edges. We're not going to see it in the middle, so it's not going to need it, but just a little bit. If you want, you can leave it the way it is now if you like that too. So it's just up to you how detailed you want to get with this, because there's plenty of work still left to do. So plenty of detail to add, and we could add this in at the end too. I'm going to go ahead and switch to a brush. You get the idea with that. You can use that. I'm going to switch to a brush to go a little bit faster because I can do a little bit more with it.
And you're just doing like little random.
Little tiny random brush strokes here. Little bitty, just to break up the edge and kind of give it a little extra detail. And using just the black and the same colors as I've already used, so nothing new, but
So this canvas is a 9x12?
this is a 9x12, yes.
Okay. We'll need to update the description.
What did I say in the
The
description?
description says 12x12.
Oh, yeah, I had originally done 12x12 in my example painting, but when I cropped it, I realized that really a lot of it was wasted space.
Mm-hmm.
So it worked a little bit better on the 9x12. Either one would work, but with the 12x12, you just had a lot of open, empty space along these two sides here.
Gotcha.
Alrighty, so that's that. Clean that out. And then we get to do some fun dabbing here. I'm going to go ahead and put a glove back on this hand just to protect my pretty rings.
You talked about meeting
I
them?
did.
It was one of those weird situations where there was fangirling going on both ways.
Yes.
And I was just standing there kind of uncomfortable, just watching the whole thing unfold in front of me.
Stand out of the way. You're an artist. Yeah. It was great. All right. Yes. I love getting to support other artists. For many years now, Mark started buying for anniversary, birthday gifts and things for me, started buying me artwork from artists that I admire and just really, really love it. I have art all over my house from different artists, and over the years, it's a really, really great.
There's nothing of mine hanging up in the house, by
Huh?
the way. There's nothing of mine hanging up in the house, by the way. Sorry.
All right, so for this first part, I'm just going to do some greens and things, and I think we can kind of cluster them just to make it go a little faster. So I'm going to do like 5 together. You can use a rubber band if you want to secure it better, but I think this will do. I'm going to get some of this lighter green color, maybe a little bit of that phthalo green, and just kind of start to kind of create sort of a pathway for our ornaments and things, and just kind of start here and dab randomly on the black. It won't be, if we did the right color, it won't be too bright at this point. Just kind of wanting to add a little bit of interest back here. And if it starts to get too matchy-matchy or too like obvious, you can just switch to doing one at a time. I'm going to get some of the light blue, kind of tealish color, and add a little bit of that green, phthalo green to it. Come on. Oh, my phthalo green is really sticky. Right, and then just add some of those colors. This one is a little bit brighter, so I'm going to go a little bit less obvious with it. And if I'm getting a lot of that dark color showing through, I'm just going to go back in and sort of twist it in place, and that kind of helps it show up a little bit better. There we go. Looks good. Make sure we're getting some along the edges here. And the more you do, the less will be on your Q-tips, so they'll get a little smaller. Okay, that looks pretty good, I think. Go ahead and do a couple on the sides there. And I'm gonna cluster. Let's get a little bit of this lighter color here. And I'm gonna just kind of cluster a few. Well, that's too messy. Let me get the back end of a brush, maybe. We'll see. Yeah, I think I just want some littler, or the back end of the, yeah, the back end of a brush is working just fine. This is what I'm wanting. Kind of just add some little speckles around it. Same colors, so I'm kind of just slightly each time going a little bit different with my color scheme. So, but they're kind of still in the same color family.
Who is it?
I know.
Surprised somebody just not going berserk.
I know. I'm surprised Fitzy's not freaking out usually. Okay, so there we go. I'm gonna get a little of the phthalo green and add it with my green here. Phthalo green and phthalo blue, I should say. I think I said phthalo green, I meant phthalo blue. Phthalo blue, phthalo green. So make kind of a dark turquoisey green. And I think I'm gonna go back to a little bit larger.
And if you're a person who holds their paintbrushes in their mouths, you might be careful while you're doing this technique.
Yes. Wouldn't recommend it. Okay, this is nice. So this is like, again, just barely visible against that black background, but it's there. All of this layering is going to really help give us a lot of oomph to our painting. It'll give it a lot of interest. And so I'm going to mix up some of this green, which is basically this color plus white. So it's just turquoise and white. And turquoise, it can be mixed with the phthalo green and phthalo blue. So that color here and the teal is just maybe the same with a little bit more blue. This one's got a little bit more green. So both of these colors can be mixed with a couple of basic greens or blues. Okay. Just another layer of green here and I'm not worried about, it's actually kind of gives it that bokeh effect if you've kind of ever painted before and know what I'm talking about, that effect with the light where it kind of shines and has these little round halos of color happening. So that is sort of what I want. All right, so one thing I do want to do is, like, if I was to dry this, I want to map out some areas where I'm not going to do anything, that I want to leave that dark area. So if you wanted to, you could kind of use your chalk and sort of draw in some little areas. So I think I'm gonna kind of maybe like through here just have 1 or 2, 3, and then over here maybe 1 over here, 1 over here, 1 in this area, 1 up here. Like, this is a really good area. And what I tend to do, you may not be like this, but I tend to fill every available open spot with color. I do it all the time when I'm planting flowers and everything. So I'm going to have to, like, really carefully, like, manage my enthusiasm tonight.
And there's a high probability that we'll wind up with some flowers on this tree.
No.
Just saying.
No flowers, unfortunately, but
All right.
definitely gonna have to be careful about not overdoing my things. Okay, so kind of in this same area.
So they may stop the video about halfway through, is what you're saying, and say this is done.
Right. Yes. So I'm going to kind of find these areas that I've already got, and I'm going to use that green gold color now and just add in some of that. And it's okay if these are not perfectly round. That's fine. Kind of leaving some of them a little bit bigger and some of them kind of just barely touching down. And this is going to be, with your kids, it'll just be I would put out what colors you think look good together, because they're going to end up mixing them. So I would put out colors families that mix well together. So do your blues and greens and yellows first, and then put out your reds. Because if you put out your reds now, they're going to grab the reds and put the reds on the greens, and you're going to end up with a muddy mess. So do your greens and blues first, let it dry completely, then put out your pinks and reds. Just a little mom chat there, because I've been there, done that. We have some brown Easter eggs that we did one year. So. Because one of my sons just could not stop adding color. Jordan shall not be named. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to use some of my yellow now. Getting my cadmium yellow medium, maybe a little bit of this Indian yellow hue, added a little tiny bit of that green, and we're just going to continue kind of moving in groups. So I'm going to kind of group my pinks together and group my yellows together, and yellows and greens together, just like we did with the other colors. So these are going to show up more, so I need to kind of manage how many I put in. But nice. Okay. And thinking about where I'm leaving my open spots too. It is kind of leaving it dark halo. I don't hate it, but if you're concerned about it, you can kind of come back in and do 2 layers on these, if you want them to be a little bit more solid when they're filled in. So it kind of almost is giving them a like a 3D look to me. Okay, work in there. I love projects like this that I'm probably going to do this with my grandson this Christmas when he comes to visit. They're coming for a week, so we'll have time. I always like to do something with them. I think we're going to get out some ornaments and do them. So I think this one's definitely one that we could do with the family, and everybody could, have fun. And it's like a low stress thing, there's not really, you're not going to mess this up. It's going to look good. So I think the main thing is just to kind of manage your color expectations a little bit. So I'm going for kind of like that retro modern color scheme here. But if you want to, or like that vintagey feel, that's the word I'm going for, vintage vibes. But if you want it more, red and green, just do the colors you like on here. Just, again, keep in mind which ones are on the color wheel, which ones are going to mix well together. So if you look at your color wheel and you say, these are my cool colors right here, then yellow, green, green, blue, blue, violet to violet. Those would be the ones that I would start with. Don't put out any other colors, but those, let everybody put as much as that as you want. Then switch to your warm colors and do the yellow, orange, red, orange, and red. And then you're gonna be fine, just fine. You won't have any muddy colors happening, because any of these warm colors, I can mix the red and the yellow, I'll get a good color. Any of these colors are going to be mixtures of one another. And same thing with this. Any of these colors are going to be, maybe this really yellowy green with the purple may create mud, but for the most part, all of these are going to create nice colors. And a little mud never hurt anyone. So we have mud in our background here, and it looks just fine. Right? Okay. So I'm getting some cerulean blue. I'm going to get a little bit of that teal and mix those two together. I didn't go over my colors. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of telling you as I use them. I usually kind of do a little bit better job of explaining what I'm using, but I forgot. I got so excited about what I was doing with this one, and I'm noticing that it is fuzzing out on me incredibly badly. So I may have to wet it down and kind of twist it to try to get it to stay put. Get those, yeah. Kind of wet it and pack it back in so that it's not fuzzing out on me. Okay, now it's gonna do some circles for me. There we go. And the blue one, there's not that many of these blue ones, so I'm not gonna do too many. I'm gonna start to go a little bit bigger with my ornaments here pretty soon too. So still trying to maintain a few of these dark areas, so just because there's a big open area, don't just throw one of these in there. Kind of think about where you're wanting to maintain your dark colors. Okay, that looks good. And I'm also kind of trying to space them somewhat evenly so that I get some balance, and not doing any like in a row, not getting them too like perfectly matched up. I'm going to go back in with my little wet thing and just add a little bit of fill in the centers with my little brush a little bit. Add a little highlight to them. Okay, looks good. I love this project so much. I'm just like so excited about it. Love it. Now, I originally thought I was going to put this, let me show you. I'm going to take my glove off so I don't get paint on it. Whoop. Don't do that. Don't do that either. The vintage chapel. So I was going to add this tree right here in my vintage chapel, but I chickened out. So if you painted this along with me, add some white snow here and there, and then your Christmas tree here, and you're good to go. or maybe put it on a bigger canvas where you have a little bit of space. I didn't want to cover up too much of this, so I felt like I didn't leave myself enough room for my tree. I was going to kind of put it here, but I just felt like it was going to cover too much of this up. But I think it kind of goes with the vibe, and that's why I picked the yellow in the background, because I had originally intended to add the tree to that one. But that's one of my $5 level bonus videos. But so you can add this to yours if you want it. You're really zoomed out. Okay. It's showing my lap. I know. All right. Well, it's looking good, I think. Pretty happy with it. I'm happy with the background color. And I may add more, like I said, kind of around the base, because I feel like it's kind of floating. I didn't have enough dark down here, but I have to let it dry completely. So we'll just keep going with our little daubers. Let me get the next size up. So I'm going to try this one, and I'm going to use this magenta and white here that I made and mix those up and make a bright pink. Okay. And I'm going to kind of pick a few spots. So I think I'm going to put one here. These are going to be really visible, so I want to kind of plan these out and kind of do, you know, with them. So do one here, one over here. This is a good size. I like this. One kind of right in the middle. And like I said, if you get it kind of uneven, you can kind of twist it a little bit. It'll help just twist it in place. Nice. What are we doing on time? We're doing really good on time.
We're doing sweet.
I think you could probably knock out several of these
Yeah.
in no time.
Yeah, you could do kind of like an industrial. You get multiple canvases all laid out.
Exactly. Do
As
all
one's,
the
as
same
one's
colors.
drying, you're working on the next one down. And
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a perfect one to do with parties too, because you could have your, you could have your colors out in the middle for people to, or have two people with the colors that they can share with one another, and then.
well, tonight you're painting and I'm sipping, so that's a good
Exactly.
good way to go.
Got our own paint and sip going on.
Exactly.
Right now.
I'm not
Right.
sure that's what they meant, but
I'm twisting in the direction of the nap. So kind of away from me.
I could take a nap.
You can take a nap. Okay. Making a little bit lighter pink here. And I'm going to start doing some dabs with that. Come on. I kind of think I liked my just regular old Q-tips better. At least for this size, it's just not wanting to do it's kind of sticking out on one side. Let me kind of try to shape it with my fingers. Let's try that. There we go. And whatever you do, don't try to do these by hand. My gosh, this would take forever if you try to paint all these little round dots by hand.
With like a normal brush.
With a normal brush, don't do it. Just use the back end of a brush or something, make it easy on yourself. Okay, I'm going to switch because that one's not cooperating. And I want some little ones too, so that's nice. So it's all about kind of, you're just managing your color story here and kind of making sure that you have like, 2 or 3 of each color in different values. So different lightness and darkness. Some of them, these ones are obviously our lighter.
And as always, as you said, you want them to be spread out, random, so they're not in line vertically or horizontally with each other.
Right. Yes. And make sure I'm putting some out by on the ends of my branches too. Here and there. So it's not like, yeah, that looks good. Okay. And stop every now and then, just look at it from a distance too. That's what I'm doing. I'm looking at my thumbnail on the computer screen, the little picture that I'm sending out into the universe here. Video of me painting. Right, we're getting there. And I feel like more is better with this, you know. It's as long as we leave a little bit of black here and there, you're good. I even on my example one, I think I added too much of the lighter color too soon. I didn't do, on my example one, I did it digitally and I didn't do the whole background dark, which was my mistake. So I would definitely do the whole background dark, even though it seems like it's, you know, we're covering it up, but it really will help give our painting more depth. And then we can do more dots on it and it'll, come on. Oh, look, make it look like a little flower there. I don't like that. I'm gonna get a little bit of magenta here. Just do a darker one so it's a different color. Do a couple of the darker magentas. Informed choices, just kind of slowly add your, don't have to go crazy and do it everywhere. Just take your time, think about where you're placing them. Your pattern, your tendency is going to be make a pattern. That's just natural for humans. We tend to want to make patterns when we see things. So if you want to avoid that, you have to be deliberate about it and think about where you're placing things. Otherwise, you will make patterns. If you just kind of mindlessly start dabbing everywhere, you'll end up with lines or whatever, which is not a bad thing. I mean, like I might make some lines here as a garland kind of looking thing, maybe, but on purpose, So mixing my quinacridone red or just more orangey red, cadmium red, naphthol red, any of those will do. Mixing it with white here, making a light pink. And now I'm using the back end of my brush so I'll get smaller dots here. And now I'm going to maybe do some like string lights or string of reds, kind of connecting some of these areas. Pretty. I like it. Okay, getting closer and closer. I think I could do more of my yellows. I think I'm looking at it and thinking I might want a little bit more yellows or that yellow greens. So I'm going to get some cadmium yellow, maybe a little bit of my green gold. This is cadmium yellow light, maybe some white. That'll help make it more opaque. White always will help make, if your paint's going on and it's too transparent, then add a little bit of white to it. It'll help make it more opaque. Okay, so let's kind of come in here and sort of around where I have my white. See, I'm getting fuzzies happening. Thinking about okay. All right, so
Some of these spots in the middle are killing me.
are they
My eyes are just looking at them.
drawn to them? Okay, well,
They are not giving my eyes any
Then
time to rest.
we'll add a
Please.
little bit of green in there just to give it something going on that'll help kind of
You missed a
make
spot
them a little bit less.
right there. You missed a spot right there. Middle, right there.
Mix the middle. Mix the middle. Just mix.
Just
Just
right-
mix the middle.
Right there. Makes
Right
it.
in the middle. The middle. Okay. Better. Yep. See, but I kind of really did lose my dark areas now. But the green is not too bad, I think. I'm going to get more of the green gold. And maybe add some white. I don't have that color with white, so I'll add some with some white. That'll give it a new twist on what we've already got going on, especially if I add it over the top of some of the ones that I already have. So I'm going to pick some of these green gold ones and just add a little bit of this color over the top. Just to give it another, like spice it up a little bit. Or maybe just slightly offset, you know, from where it was already. Yeah, that looks really good. Good, good, good. This is going to be a ton of dots, so
Brilliant.
again, more is better with this, I think. I'm going to get my big ones again, bigger ones. Do a couple of the, let's see. Let's do a couple of these, maybe a little bit more red, a little bit brighter red with the really large. So do kind of more of a, it's almost a salmon color, red. And I'm going to kind of cluster them in my pink areas. So I've kind of got a pink area right here. So I'm just going to kind of try to fit one of these in, sort of in that general area. Let me get a little bit more red. And now start kind of overlapping what I've got now. So I've got things already in here. I can overlap them just a little bit, leave a little bit of it showing. Right, and then I think I'm going to do just a couple of them really big. Like, maybe mix these two together, get the quinacridone red and the, just creating a new color, just for, and I'm going to kind of come up next to my pink here and sort of go right up next to it. magenta and red. Just make a bright cherry red here. Okay. And these are going to be really prominent, so pick your spot carefully. What?
There's still space in there.
Where, right here?
Right there.
Okay, I'll do one right here. Is that better? You feeling better now?
Almost.
Didn't quite do it. Okay. Maybe put one right here. And I'm going to do one that's big right here. All right. So we got, nothing is really too lined up. Everything is kind of spaced out nicely. I'm going to come back in and kind of double tap to add a little bit of brightness. I'm going to get some of my lighter color and kind of go over. Add a little highlight. Yeah, I don't love that. Not in love with those, but
What?
well, I'll fix them.
Put highlights on them.
Yeah, I'll fix them. I'm gonna
Well, I know you will.
get some of my pink with the kind of neck size down and overlap just a little bit here and there. You don't have to overlap all of them, but it'll kind of just help settle them in. All right. And then there are a few that are kind of slightly purple, so I'm going to get some magenta in my phthalo blue and some white. And do some of the violet, kind of, just a few of these kind of violet colored ones. And I think I'm going to use the smaller Q-tips for them. Okay. I'm going to have Mark take that and dry it, and then we'll add some final touches to it and splatter some more and add our star and everything, but these have to dry for us first. So, and it's going to take a minute to dry. And then I'll show you where the straws come in. We'll see if it works. I don't know. But my thought was I could take some of the color and just kind of make little like halo light effects with them. I don't know. Let me spray these because I feel like my paints are starting to get a little bit dry. And I want to add some gold and silver too. Let me see. I'm just testing it on my... Well, the Chick-fil-A straw is not cooperating. Let's try the paper straw because it's a little more sturdy. But I'm afraid that once it gets wet, it's going to get soggy. There you go. Yeah, that's working. Just make sure it doesn't make a bubble. There we go. That's what I want right there. I don't know if you can see that, but it's creating little round halos. So I think I'm going to try that with this straw, and we'll see how it does. I'll kind of clean up my space here now that I've got all right. Clean my brush out really quick. It's important not to leave your brushes to dry with paint in them. Acrylics will ruin your brush. It's not like watercolor or oil where you can wash them out later. You have to make sure they stay wet, but don't leave them in your water to soak, because then the water gets all the way up in here and will do this to them and crack the handle, crack the paint, because that wood expands underneath the paint and then it cracks the paint. So this one has been abused. Not the only brush I've done in that way. But all right, so let's put out some iridescent colors. So I've got gold fine and bronze fine. Fine just means how it's milled. So there's like a coarse and a fine. The coarse ones have like little like grainy bits in it, like glitter almost, but like chunkier. And then the fine ones are milled smooth, so they're like a smooth iridescent metallic color. I use a little bit of this in my sunburst, or my star, maybe. So I've got iridescent and bronze. I thought these would look good with our color scheme here. That bronze has kind of that brownish undertone, nothing too bright. And then the silver. I'm going to put the silver up here, I think. Okay. You know, the heavy body acrylics here, these two were the fluid, so they're thinner, but the heavy body acrylic is going to maybe have to be thinned out. We'll see. It'll probably do okay. We're not going to do too many. Oh my gosh, I cannot get that to go back on. There we go. There we go. All right. Very good. What am I forgetting? Oh, yeah. I'm going to do the little halo around the star. Probably could do this brush, but it's got green in it still. It's dirty. So I'm just going to get a smaller version of it, because I want to have like a little bit of a glow around my star on the top of my tree. So I think I'm going to use that for it. And I think that looks good. Okay. I knew this was going to take a while for Mark. We're going to be painting. If you're part of my Patreon group, I'll talk about Patreon really quick. I have traceables available for the $2 level. So I'll have a traceable of this done up tonight from the finished painting, and it'll post either later on tonight or tomorrow on my website. And if you're sign up on Patreon and then go to my website, you can see all of the paintings that I have. It's thankfulart.com. Thankfulart.com, really easy to remember. And you can go there and see the Patreon bonus videos are $5 a month. That's what I'm doing this weekend. For now, we're going to change up our tiers next year, so it's going to change a little bit. But for now, we've got over, I want to say, 60 something bonus videos that we've done over the last 6 years that we've done Patreon. And so we're going to be painting a little squirrel in a tree. Should be fun on Saturday. So if you're part of our Patreon crew, be sure to join us for that. All right, so I'm going to get my regular brush here. Let me go ahead and do my star first, because it's going to take a while to dry, and also want to just kind of take off any chalk marks that I'm seeing with some water there. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit. This is where I had Zinc White on our list. This is just a transparent white. I'm going to use that because it'll be a little easier to do that kind of glow with it. And I'm going to get some of this yellow that we had and put that on my brush. And then this is the important part. Don't forget to do this. Wipe it off. Wipe it all off. Just like you've decided not to use that color. Just wipe it until it just seems like there's hardly anything left in there. It should look kind of like this, where you can kind of see the color, but you've wiped most of it out. And then start in the area where you want it the brightest, and then just slowly work it out. This is probably one that I would do for the kids. Maybe it's going to be a little tricky. This is probably the trickiest part. And then I'm going to get the full strength and start again and just dab it and kind of streak it over that initial layer and just let some streaks happen out like that. I think that looks okay. I might make it a little bit more gold. I feel like it's a little too white. I'm going to get some yellow. There we go. Now, you have to be careful because this is starting to get kind of sticky there and it's going to dry on me. And so if I continue to mess with it too long, it will just dry and then I will not have, it'll lift the color completely. So that's white and yellow. That looks good. All right, I'm going to leave that. And then I'm going to let that dry. I'm not going to mess with it. And I'm going to get my color on here, and I'm just going to kind of fill in any of these that in the middle around the edges if I want to clean them up a little bit. Add any darker bits or, you know, any fuzzy bits that we don't like. That looks pretty good. All right, now I'm going to get my dark red. And this was magenta and quinacridone red. And I'm going to go underneath and just do a little semicircle underneath. Just on some of these. Now, we're not going to do this on all of them, but the ones that are like the big ones where we're noticing, you know, details, then this will add a little extra oomph. Again, not something you have to do if you're doing this with kids. You can just kind of do as much of the details as you want. I'm going to get a little bit of that more magenta color and use that on some of the smaller ones here. Maybe get some of that middle tone color. I'm seeing that some of these aren't filled in very well. Can use this middle tone color on the lighter bits, the lighter ones, some of the smaller lighter colored ones. Add little detail to them. And we can also kind of use it to sort of clean up any edges that look funky. Get some white here. What time is it? Okay. We're good. Doing good. Almost done. It's got some splattering. You'll be amazed at how much the splattering at the end here will help. Then I'm going to take some of this mid-tone pink and just kind of add a little highlight on the top corner opposite that darker red. Just a little swipe of color. And if you go down too far, I can get a little bit of that mid-tone and just kind of fill it back in. All right. Looks good. I think I want another one over here. Just going to do some hand-painted ones.
So are you gonna like fill in all the spaces like the reference photo, or you gonna leave some gaps?
I'm going to leave some gaps. That
Okay.
was kind of what I was saying that I noticed with mine, that I wanted to avoid filling in everything because the dark areas kind of help give it a little bit more depth. I'm going to get kind of a mid-tone blue here. Light blue. And go in and kind of dab in a little bit of light blue at the top of my blue ornaments. Just another little dab and swipe. And can maybe do a few little dots with this. They don't have to be perfectly round. You can dab in some like I need a circle there, so I'm gonna fill that back in. Get my white. And you can do this with the toothpick. So if you don't have this fancy thin brush, you can do it with the toothpick. And do a line straight up and down. Do a line. If it kind of helps if you start it in the middle and just swipe it out. And then do kind of in between like that. And then if you want to wipe out your brush and then just kind of grab what's in the middle and sort of pull out in between a little bit to kind of help fuzz it out a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to add some of these sparkly bits to my tree too. So I'm going to add a few little sparkly stars to my tree.
So in tonight's video, we've had fuzzy bits and sparkly bits. So there you go.
Lots of bits. Bits and dabs.
But no kibbles
No.
and bits.
All right, little stars. That helps a lot, I think. The little stars are cute. Let's do a little bit brighter white and add a little bit of bright white on the ornaments. Just the biggest ones. Just a little dab of white in the corner. Just setting my brush down, letting the shape of the brush create a little oval. Okay. Do it as many or as few as you want. Looks good. That'll help add a little bit of detail. I'm going to go back in to some of the ones that are yellow and just kind of dab in. They kind of went on transparently, so just kind of go in and dab a little bit more color in the middle so that they're not all kind of dark centered. It'll help make it everything look brighter too. Okay, much better. All right, let me get, we're just going to pretend that this is dry. I'm going to get my white and my water. Make sure that this is dry because you don't want to have splatters over the wet paint. You always want to splatter over dry canvas because it can, if you want to be able to wipe off your mistakes. That's looking all right. I'm going to go ahead and just go for it. This is going to really help kind of just tie the whole thing together. Kind of blends out. And then if you have any areas that seem like a little dark or a little bit blank or whatever, you can kind of do this and it'll help. It just helps kind of meld all of it together and look good. I'm going to go a little bit thicker with my paint, try to get a little bit bigger dobs of paint coming off. There we go.
Are there going to be any like shiny metallic?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I still need to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I just put out my metallics while you were in the other room. So let's get the back end of a brush here and get some of our metallic colors and just dab those all over. And these can go on top of existing colors if you want them to show up a little bit better. So find like some of our yellowish colors, usually like colors that are close to the same color as the metallic will look the best. And I'm going to go right off the end on some of these too.
Now, will the metallic paint do well in splattering, or is it just not the right type?
Yeah, it doesn't splatter well. It's too thick. It's got too much, too much.
Binder?
No, not binder. It's got stuff. It's got particles in it. That's what makes the metallics. It's like got little bits of glitter or whatever in it, and it's just too thick. I mean, you can try using like a watercolor ink would work because it's really fine. You just would need to be careful when you glaze it because it could maybe, I don't know if that dries, if it dries permanent, what I'm saying? Like watercolors generally can like reactivate with water, so you just have to test it and see.
I would just throw some glitter on it while the paint's wet.
There you go. Yeah, see, I've got no dark areas anymore.
No, you got dark areas.
Do I?
There's definitely space between all the dots. It's not like your reference image where they're just layered on top of each other.
Okay.
So you definitely have, you don't have any gaping holes.
Well, that's
but
kind of
okay.
what I was going for, was sort of some...
Okay, well then stop. Put the brush down.
Now, I'm going in areas that have already got color here. I'm not going over my dark areas. These are fun. So I've got lots of little metallic bits. That adds a lot. In fact, thought about using gold in my background. I think that would have been a nice color to use in the background as like a gold, and then use the darker colors with a wash of color, like not fully thick, like with a little glaze or something like that. You could glaze over so that it was transparent over the top of the gold, and do that first bit on top of a gold canvas, and it would look really nice, I think. All right, so we talked about maybe just make sure this is dry, get this cleaned off. Actually, where is that? No, I left it in my water. This one here, these can all be chucked now. Fun. I do like using the Q-tips. They're just fun. I don't know. I always feel like I'm kind of a kid, you know? It's just a fun little thing to do. All right, getting the burnt sienna and a little bit of that sap green, I think. Maybe a little bit of the burnt umber, and I don't have any glaze out, so I'm just going to get a little bit of water, and that'll be fine. Just need it slightly transparent. You can tell on your paper, on your thing there. And just kind of come up underneath. Well, that got a little too transparent. There we go. Oh, I got a little bit of that gold. Forgot the gold's not dry. Don't touch the gold. Yeah. Okay. We're just going to have to call it good because I can't mess with it. The gold is still wet and I'm getting into the gold.
It looks awesome.
Here. Thank you. Thank you. I think it's really fun. And one last thing that you could do is get your green, kind of like a limey green, or like even mix your yellow with black. Yellow and black make a really bright limey green, kind of a neutral green, not limey, like similar to this green gold color. And do some little highlights on your branches, maybe. This is getting very fussy, you know, so this is taking it to the next step. I would not worry about doing this with kids or anything, but you know, you can just add a little bits of highlights here and there, you know.
I did notice that in the reference image that it had some of the
branchy
parts in the middle too.
Yeah, that's what I had done.
Yeah.
It kind of came
I
through.
like it.
And you can also do some of your dark colors over the top of your ornaments too. So you can push back some of the ornaments by, you know, and if you don't have a dark area, say, you know, I wanted to open up a dark area here, I could kind of come up over my ornaments a little bit with the dark color and push it back. I'd probably do this before you do your last splatters, you know, because the splatters sort of finish it off. So there we go. All right, I think I'm pretty happy with that for the most part. And you can take it, run with it, do your own thing with it.
Yeah, you can add more or less of any one color, or more bulbs or anything like that.
Yep.
So that'd be
I think this is very customizable, very easy. This has definitely got the vintage vibes going with these colors, though, I think. Is that Super Chat?
Is that Santa?
What?
No, it's Super Chat.
Oh. You're so silly. I'm going to add some yellow green here and just add some dabs with this, like a lighter teal.
Thank you.
Do that.
Shout out to Leanne for the generous gift. Thank you so
Leanne.
much.
Very sweet.
Yes.
Very sweet. I'm so glad you liked it. It makes me feel good. I did a poll last month, and this was one of the number one voted. So my Facebook group of patrons at my $10 level. I talked about the $5 level bonus video, but I have a $10 level also that we do a weekly chat, and they get to kind of do polls and pick, sort of advise me on what they want to see me paint, and this was on their wish list, so I really like it. I like how it turned out. I'm just
I do
adding
like the
a little
style.
bit of this teal blue color.
This is a Christmas card. I'm sorry.
For sure.
I wouldn't do it for Easter. I would do it for Christmas for
Do
sure.
it for Christmas?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, cute. Okay. I could keep doing this forever, and fine.
Remember about an hour ago when she said that she would not have self-control and stop herself?
Mm-mm.
So I'm just going to end the
Just
video.
end the video.
Or take a
No.
screen grab right now of what it should look like. And then we'll post a picture of the colorly blobby
No.
blob monster.
No. Okay, I'm good. I'm done. I promise. I'm just seeing things that I could add, but you could get as detailed as you want. I think this is good for a starter. I am going to take my white.
I'm done.
No, I'm not
But
done.
I'm going to go
I'm
ahead
gonna do
and
just a few clusters of white.
just a little bit.
Well, the white's going to draw the attention, and so I'm going to do it in the areas where I want like a little bit more attention.
What was the straw thing that you had mentioned earlier?
Oh, yeah. I didn't do my straw trick. Okay. Now, this is my own. I've never seen anybody do it, so I don't know if it works or not. So we're just going to.
We'll put the
try
painting
it.
away and we'll show you Angela's straw trick. She's been working on this all week.
I have not. I literally worked on it while you were
Oh,
drawing.
sorry.
So that's how long I've been working on it. All right, we'll see. I'm going to get I thought it would look good. Maybe we can use gold. Who knows? But
Just make sure there's a hole in the middle.
blow on it. Okay.
Oh, yes.
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 Yeah, that looks cool.
Oh, yes. I'm zooming in on that. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just kind of like another little detail. Sort of that.
Something
bokeh
that your eye
effect.
sees and goes, what is that?
Right.
That is sweet.
And I think if you go over some of the existing ornaments too, it kind of, I'm going to overlap some of them too, so they're not just sitting on their own. Like,
So this straw that you have is not like an ordinary straw. Would it work with a plastic straw?
I
'Cause you're
tried it
kinda
with
pushing
the.
on
Oh,
it,
let's
right?
try it again. I tried it with the Chick-fil-A straw, and it wasn't cooperating. But I may not have been doing it
Shout out.
right.
Give us a sponsorship, please.
Yeah, that it's working. It's
Oh,
working, so
yeah,
it'll be fine. Yeah. Okay, I need to stop because I'm like filling up the whole thing. But that adds. See the little stars, the little circles. You could add little whatever,
Kind of bubbles, somebody said.
bubbles, huh?
They're like kind of a bubbly.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
look like little bubbles. I don't know. So fun. And then you can toss them in the trash. You don't have to worry. Cut them up so it doesn't hurt the environment. I don't know. Or maybe not. I'm not sure. Don't use the paper ones like the paper straws, not the plastic ones from Chick-fil-A. Sorry, Chick-fil-A. Yeah, I just realized I could get in trouble first. I don't think you're allowed to use straws in California, so
They don't give out plastic ones.
yeah. So, but that other one that I was using that was a paper one. This one was a paper straw.
Yep.
So, and they're real cheap. You can buy a whole thing of those for like a couple dollars. So, not expensive at all. All right, I think we're good. I really love this. I hope you guys like it too. Hope you try it. Please do share it with me if you do try it. That's my favorite thing, is to see you guys painting along and doing these with your families and kids and whatever. It's just so much fun for me. It makes this part of my job just so enjoyable to get to see you guys painting along and enjoying painting the way I enjoy it. I feel like painting should be for everybody, you know, not just for those who are fancy artists, you know. Everybody should get to, oh, silver. Forgot my silver. Let's put it on my star. Everybody should get to do this and get to enjoy it and get to create. And even if it doesn't turn out great, who cares? It's still your expression, your artwork. It doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. So just do what makes you feel happy. That's my little word of advice for the day. And I'm just dabbing in some little silver bits here and there. You can do some silver. I feel like having some of these outside the edges is kind of nice too. So like, you know, extending them out into no man's land out here is kind of nice. All right, I think that's it. I'm going to call that good. Fill it up with lots of fun colors and sprinkles and all the good things. This is a Stacy tree, my friend Stacy. We do cookie parties every year. And she always does she takes her cookie and she puts the icing on and then she just dumps the sprinkles all on there. And at the end, she's got like we have a piece of wax paper at the end, and then she does one cookie at the very end for her son, Nicholas, who loves sprinkles. And so she does, all of her cookies are covered with sprinkles, but then he gets like the everything sprinkles. And she just takes that whole thing and just pours it on. And the sprinkles are like literally that thick. I'm not kidding you. On the cookie. This is my sprinkle tree right here. This is our sprinkle tree. All the sprinkles going on here. All right. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day and weekend. And if you're a patron, please join me on Saturday for our little squirrel in a tree. So I think that'll be really fun. Looking forward to that one. All right. We'll see you next Tuesday. Bye, guys.